Welcome to the Trust Factor Radio, bringing you interviews and insights to unlock the power of the subconscious mind to create authority, credibility, and trust. With your host, the Authority Architect and best-selling author, Neil Howe.
Hello and welcome to the show. This is your host, Neil Howe, and today my special guest is Jason Toth, and he helps businesses create and execute strategies to accomplish goals by using the scientific method. Whether it's marketing, sales process, brand identity, or culture, applying the scientific method always leads to success. Welcome to the show, Jason Toth.
Thank you, Neil. Happy to be here.
Well, you are the CEO of Toth Marketing in Cleveland, Ohio. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your business.
Well, let's see here. I started Toth Marketing, believe it or not, just under 2 years ago. And since then, we've seen a fair amount of growth, actually pretty significant growth in our business. And I started Toth Marketing because I had spent, a nice career working for creative agencies, and I never bought into the way that they treated their clients, specifically, from company leadership. There was a lot of the mentality that profit over everything. So we're going to sell clients things that they don't need just because, it's going to bring in more money for us. I also didn't really care for the way that agencies would treat their employees. A lot of it was churn and burn. Let's get as much work out of somebody as we possibly can. And then, when they start to cost us too much money, we're going to kick them out and hire some new, naive people. So I was a little bit, tainted with the all talk and no walk. And when the time came for me to take that leap and start my own business, I'd say I jumped off the cliff and learned to fly on the way down. And so the same things, the things that, really had me, a more negative outlook from the agency world is what inspired me to create my own on the right kinds of values, at least what I believe is, treating our clients the right way, only providing them with solutions and strategies that are going to help them accomplish their goals, being extraordinarily transparent with them. And then from an employee side is, the people that work for me, they're the really the magic sauce or the secret ingredients that keep everything going. As one person, I can only do so much. Which is not a whole lot because I'm not very smart, but I hire very smart people to tell me what to do so that we can help our clients succeed.
Well, excellent. This is the Trust Factor Radio, and businesses are built on trust and built on relationships that are win-win. Both people have to get value in order to make it work. So congratulations on stepping out and starting your own business. Let's talk about your clients. What kind of clients do you help, and what kind of problems do they have?
Well, so Toth Marketing, in its name, is a marketing agency. And so just to give a little bit more context there, we started as only primarily focused on doing web design, development, and, marketing strategies, digital marketing. And so our focus when we started initially was small, medium-sized businesses that had a pretty poor online presence and, was looking to take the new step forward into the digital world. And, a lot of people might say, well, that's old news now, right? Well, there's a lot of businesses, small and medium-sized businesses that have been, historically they're family owned. They kind of play in the old school world, and they really haven't made that leap forward. So there's a lot of opportunity with small, medium-sized businesses. And we never really focused on a specific niche, and I hope that we never do, because that gets boring when you're focused on one specific industry. We have our hands in a variety of organizations, from nonprofit organizations to multi-billion-dollar international companies. I wish we had a lot more of the multinational or the international multi-billion-dollar companies, but we really span the whole spectrum. And some of them are in industry, some of them are in technology, others in consumer products. And one of the fun things about some are in education. And one of the nice things or fun things about having our hands in, various industries is things that we learn that work in one industry can be applied to another. And we would not have come across or come up with that specific strategy if we were just focused, in one industry or in one niche. As a result of kind of having our hands in these different industries, the services that we ended up providing to our clients became way more than just web design development and digital marketing. It expanded into their brand identity, then expanded into, from the digital marketing standpoint, sure, we could get traffic to your site. That's easy. Anybody could buy traffic and send it to their websites. But then how do you get that traffic to convert? How do you get them to buy something or fill out a form or pick up the phone and call? And that was a great thing. But then the next piece is, okay, so they fill out the form, they pick up the phone and call, then what do you do? And what's the conversion rate after somebody contacts you? Then after they contact you, how much are they buying? And we ended up going down this entire sales process with our clients to figure out where their customers or leads are dropping off, and then come up with a strategy to keep them in the funnel there all the way through. And then it even took us further. What do you do after the sale? What do you do after the transaction is complete? And that's where things really got
Let's talk a little bit deeper about that, Jason, because I definitely like that process and the strategy that you're talking about. Talk to me about the psychology of that whole strategy from start to finish.
Well, so there's the psychology plays a major role. We're fans of human behavior, which, whether you think so or not, if you're in marketing, for the most part, everything we do is based off of, human behavior and how they react to different stimuli for the most part. And then having that understanding and bring in the scientific method with it, which is a very methodical process of going in with being educated and coming up with our hypotheses or a hypothesis that says, if we do X, then we should expect Y. And if Y doesn't come out, we seek to understand why it didn't happen. And then we iterate, or, we take a different path. Okay. So where does that all come into play here? So, as understanding whether it's our clients or our clients' customers, the decision-making process that people make are not just based on rationality. It doesn't just come down to dollars and cents. What can I get for the cheapest, or where is the most, even when it comes down to ROI, where is the most ROI going to come from? It also focuses very heavily on experience. And something that we've really been employing with our clients and then training our clients to employ with their customers or their clients is really making a connection. And whether, and the idea is to make it a very authentic connection with the people that, they're trying to help. And that's how we want people to feel about us, and how we want our customers to feel about them. That was very long-winded, so I'm happy to break that down a little simpler if you have questions about that.
Yeah, so going back to the traffic, obviously you've got to find where those ideal customers are. And like you said, you can buy that traffic and send it to the website. What kind of things on the actual web page are you looking at to get them to take action?
Well, so we believe that simplicity is the best approach. And so what we mean by that is oftentimes our clients will they'll come to us and they'll say, if we didn't do their website, that somebody else did their website for them. We just spent, $30,000, $50,000 on our new site. It's great. We love it. Now we need you to help us, leverage it to get the sales and make money. And then we'll take a look at the site and we'll shake our heads and we'll wonder what the heck were these people doing when they got this site designed. Well, it turns out that a lot of times our clients, or even businesses in general, will design tools. We'll talk websites now. Will design their website with themselves in mind. What is easiest for them, or what should their customers be doing, right? Not what do their customers really do and what is easiest for their customers. So very, very important is, the way that your content is laid out and the way that your copy is written. You have to take into account that there are people who are skimmers that will look for bullet points, read through bullet points, spend a couple minutes on one page and decide whether or not, they want to reach out to you. There's people who read every page in excruciating detail before they make a decision whether or not to reach out to you. And then there are the people in between. And so you have to create an environment that supports all of those different types of people. And so we look to make sure that content is laid out in that way that's easily digestible. We look to make sure that it's dummy proof for, when somebody wants to contact you, they can do that, whether it's filling out a form, clicking a button to call you, having an instant chat feature on there. Our goal is to get somebody to, if you're selling a service, to contact you. If it's buying a product, very similar, we want to make it as easy as possible for them to get everything they need to know that makes them feel comfortable making a purchase.
Mm-hmm. So, two things that you can really control is the traffic coming to the site and then what is on the actual web page. But once they make that decision to either fill out a form or call, then it's up to the client. How do you coach them through, the best way to make those conversions?
Well, so this is where the fun part comes in, because typically one of the number one things we hear from clients as we're talking about the full strategy and what they can expect. This is usually what happens in our kickoff meeting with them. We usually hear, once we get them on the phone, we're gold. We close it all the time. And I'm like, all right, well, we'll see what happens. And typically they've never had somebody monitoring the success rates of this, or they haven't even been measuring what the success rates are once they get somebody on the phone. We'll just use that as an example. And what we end up doing is we measure it, we see where it is, we open their eyes to what's really going on, and then we seek to understand, okay, here's where you're acquiring actual customers, here's where they're dropping off. Why is that? Well, it could be a specific salesperson. If that's the case. So we'll listen to the way that individual salespeople talk to these leads. And it's the sales style is very, very important, as well as the message that's being communicated. So after we've had a good amount of experience actually writing scripts for our clients, so that when they get somebody on the phone, there's almost no guessing involved. They have the layout, they have the outline of exactly what needs to be said. And if a lead goes down another path, here are ways that you bring them back to the topic, or to the main goal here of getting them to actually purchase something. And when we create these scripts, they're based off of, okay, what's your goal with this customer? Is it for them to just buy something? Okay, great. Well, if they buy something, well, then what do you do after that? Well, your next goal should be either to get them to buy something else or give you a referral. And so what you want to do is create, whether it's a lead or an actual customer, into more leads and more customers. And I always tell my clients, I'm like, if somebody's not buying something from you, okay, that's fine. Get something out of them if you can. A referral, any other type of lead, any suggestion for a path that you can go down. Really, and people are willing to help and provide ideas and suggestions. And it's actually, it's quite incredible as to how a company can grow and build by building relationships like that.
Really, and when it comes down to it, it all is about that relationship, like I mentioned at the start. But just hearing the way that you're walking your clients through this strategy, most companies would stop at, hey, I got you traffic, and I've done your web page, and I'm getting this amount of conversions. The rest is up to you. But you're focusing on the kind of back end of this as well. And wow, if you can help them close an extra sale a day, what a difference that can make for their business.
Well, so I chuckle when you say that, because so one of the things that as a marketing agency that we face, the biggest challenge with especially with with potentially new clients, new leads, what have you, is we always hear of stories about how they've been burned by other agencies in the past, or how they, the scars that they have from, they spent thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars with an agency that promised the world and they didn't deliver. And there are so many reasons as to why that could happen. One of which is at one point in time, everybody's nephew was designing websites. So they just got their nephew to do it. Today, one of the biggest challenges is there's no barrier to entry to becoming a marketing expert. You don't have to take a special examination. You don't have to get any qualifications for it. You can slap, marketing expert, marketing consultant on a business card, and you can say a couple of key buzzwords. And if somebody doesn't really know what's going on, they'll think that they're talking to somebody who knows their stuff. So we have to overcome that. And I know, one, my name is my last name is the name of our company, which means it's all about reputation for me, and it's all about the relationship that I build with my clients, and I don't take that lightly. So even if we deliver on exactly what our clients paid us to do, whether it's just design a website or bring traffic to that website, qualified, it's not just any traffic, qualified, relevant traffic for them. If that traffic doesn't convert, or that website isn't producing a return on their investment, regardless of whether we did a fantastic job or not, they're going to have a bad taste in their mouth, period. Because it's not their fault. For whatever, right or wrong, they're going to put it on the agency. And so that's not okay with me or my team. So inevitably, we always go above and beyond to figure out, okay, this is what's happening. This is what should be happening. How do we bridge that gap? And we just keep on diving into it until we fix the problem.
Now, we've talked a little bit about this as well, but what misconceptions or myths do you see in the digital marketing space?
How much more time do we have?
I know, it's a big one.
So I think the biggest one is that from a marketing standpoint, and any type of really anything that involves creativity, people think it's easy because all they see is the finished product. So because they think it's easy, and it's also because they don't understand it, they also think that it should be inexpensive. So we're dealing with people who, a lot of times, who have been burned before by spending a lot of money, who don't understand what they're buying. A lot of times people say, well, we just need SEO. I'm like, well, first, before we go any further, I need you to define for me what SEO means to you, because otherwise we're going to be speaking different languages. So there's a lack of understanding. And then there's the idea that, it should be cheap, or, relatively inexpensive. To which I reply, you get what you pay for. Toth Marketing, we're not by no means are we the least expensive agency in Cleveland or, Northeast Ohio area. But that's by design, because the product, if you will, that we produce is far superior than what else is out there. And it ain't easy. If it were easy, there'd be a lot more successful agencies.
That's right. Everybody would be doing it if it's easy. But the fact is, most companies need a lot more than just SEO. Like we've just explained, they need, the whole strategy. And not only does that take a lot of work, it takes a lot of knowledge and a lot of time to keep up with all this. Do you find that people with even in-house marketing departments can't even keep up with this?
Well, no, because when you're an in-house, and when you say in-house marketing, you mean, like our client has their own, in-house marketing team, correct?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So no, it's very difficult for them to be on top of it, because it's essentially being stuck in a silo. You're walking around with blinders on, not intentionally, or not because you don't want to see anything else, but you're focused on, for the most part, the same thing day in, day out. And part of what it takes to be very successful is having different perspectives, different points of views, knowing what's going on in different industries and how that can apply to yours, which is why, companies that have internal in-house marketing teams still use external, or, they hire agencies for a variety of different, a variety of different, campaigns or initiatives, partly to get that external experience, or that different point of view. We enjoy working with in-house marketing teams. The one challenge, or rather the biggest challenge that I think most other agencies can relate with, is there's a feeling or a sense of, there's a lack of control or loss of control from an internal team. So sometimes there's a playful dance that must go on to ensure that everybody feels like they're contributing in the best way possible, or that they're valued.
Right. And, you look at the idea of the drive-through. I'm not sure if that started in the restaurants with, things like McDonald's, but then, the banks took it over. Mm-hmm. They took an outside look, and, now you got the dry cleaners, and I'm sure there's plenty of others that have drive-throughs as well. So, it does take a step back sometimes to look at what is out there and what's possible, rather than just seeing from your own point of view so much.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, and I'm reminded, and it's listeners wouldn't have heard our conversation prior to this, but we were talking about Apple, and there's that could be a very polarizing topic. But one of my favorite stories about Steve Jobs was he gave a commencement speech at Stanford, I believe in 2005. Changed my life if you haven't listened to it. But he talks about these three stories in his life. One was when he was in college, he basically dropped out of school because he didn't like it, but then started, dropping in on other classes that he was more interested in. One of them was a calligraphy class. So he learned all about, serif and sans serif typeface, and the different ways that you can create beautiful letters, and so on and so forth. And because he had that experience and that knowledge, he introduced different fonts into Word documents on his Mac. And you take two very different pieces and you bring them together because you've got those perspectives, and really, really cool things start to happen. So we don't like to have blinders on at all.
Yeah, just some outside the box thinking goes a long way.
Oh yeah.
When looking at businesses that try to do some of this marketing themselves, what do you see some of the biggest mistakes that they make?
Ooh, I would say one, let's say it's any type of, paid advertising online, whether it's social media or search engine marketing or display advertising. People are really, really good at throwing money out the window. And it's because they don't know how to use the tools that they're actually using. And so we often find that people don't know how to segment their audiences correctly. And so that they're rather than targeting a very specific audience of theirs, they're just throwing as much junk as they can up against the wall to see what sticks. So it's being very deliberate and very specific with your strategies and who you're targeting, and taking it a step further. Within your audience, you have micro audiences. And so the question that you have to ask yourself is, well, does the same message resonate with everybody in the main audience group? And the answer is it doesn't. So you have to break it down even further and create specific messaging for the micro audiences within your target group. The more specific you get, the more results we tend to see. So people usually attack it from a very high level approach, from one degree. Another degree is their lack of inconsistency, or I would say brand cohesion across what they're doing. So they'll do any type of advertising or social posts, or any type of content marketing that doesn't really connect well with what the user or their audience is it should be expecting. That they'll put content out there for the sake of content. We oftentimes, hear clients say, well, we've been focused on SEO, so we've been writing all these blog posts. I'm like, all right, well, what are your blog posts? And they're usually these just long, boring, rambling posts that nobody's reading, but they'll say, but it's filled with all these great keywords. I'm like, well, that's not how SEO works. That's one part of it. That's one part, is using these valuable keywords. But another thing that Google tracks is, well, what kind of unique traffic is coming to the site? How long are they staying on it? Is this page actually being used? If it's not being used and it's not seeing unique traffic, it doesn't matter how many keywords you have on it, no one's coming to it. So, we find that a lot of companies who try to do this themselves are doing it at a very, very basic level, rather than understanding that everything you create should add value to somebody. They should not just have a reason, but really want to consume whatever it is that you're producing. And it's really, really misunderstood.
Yeah, just having that message to the right audience. That's a whole other podcast right there, Jason, isn't it?
Oh my gosh! I mean, so it's if I could maybe for 2 minutes just kind of go down this path real quick. So we've got clients all the time, asking about, well, does search marketing work? What does this content writing actually work? Does Facebook advertising actually work? And the answer is yes, it does. It doesn't all the time, but the way that you maximize that is you have to understand the game that Google, and we'll just focus on Google and Facebook, the game that they're playing. All right. To this day, Google's main source of income is from advertising. Same thing with Facebook. The only way that they are going to make their money is if people click on the ads that they're putting out there. So if they're putting, back in the day, 10, 15 years ago, you wouldn't catch me clicking a Google ad because it was always spam. I'd type in a search, and like the first couple of results were all ads, and it would take me to this site that had absolutely nothing to do with what I was looking for. Well, guess what? People stopped clicking on those ads. Google loses revenue, and they say, well, that's not good. We don't want that. We want people to click on these ads. So what do they start doing? They start forcing companies and advertisers to create ads that are relevant to what people are searching. And not only that, when somebody clicks on that ad, their expectation should be met that the page that they're landing on is very, very relevant to that ad as well. Same thing with Facebook. They're only going to show ads and posts that people are likely to click and consume. And it's not just a click, get to the page and bounce off. Google and Facebook, they want to know that people are actually spending valuable time on the site that they're being sent to. Otherwise, people will stop clicking the ads. So if you think about, forget, Google and Facebook, think about what is most valuable to your audience, period. That's how you're going to see the most results and best results.
That's it. I know that firsthand. My wife actually is a manual reviewer for Google. So she looks at these ads every single day and, just looking at the relevance to them. So, it's definitely, if it makes sense, you say yes. If it doesn't make sense, you get marked down. So
it's so funny. Like it really, it's time consuming work. And you always have to be, it takes a lot of creativity because you have to pack a lot of information in a small space and it has to resonate. But the overall concept of it it's not rocket science. It's it's truly creating something that other people want to consume, period. And if you if you take that approach in every aspect of your business, I have yet to see a company truly succeed that produces something that people don't want, and still make a huge profit off of it.
Yeah,
I'm sure there are some
for a short while, generally.
Yeah.
All right, Jason. Well, this has been very educational. There's definitely more to this whole marketing thing than just the data that comes back. There's a human element to it, which I think you have explained very well. Now, if somebody wants to get in touch with you to find out more of what you might be able to do for them, what is the best way for them to do that?
Well, I would encourage everybody to come to Cleveland, Ohio, and explore our wondrous city. It's a very underrated city. But if you're unable to and meet with us here, you can go to our website, which is tothmarketing.com, TOTH marketing.com, and a lot of information on there that should help you out. We've got contact forms, instant chat, phone numbers, everything to make it as easy as possible for you to reach out to us.
And that's what it's all about, is starting that conversation. Well, I'm glad we were able to have this conversation. Jason, thank you very much for being my guest on the Trust Factor Radio today.
Thank you, Neil.
And to our listening audience, if you like what you hear, hit that like button and share, and we'll see you next time on the show.
You've been listening to the Trust Factor Radio with Neil Howe. To learn about the resources mentioned in the show and to listen to past episodes, go to thetrustfactorradio.com. To get a copy of the book, The Trust Factor, go to thetrustfactorbook.com. If you are ready to act now and build your authority, credibility, and trust, schedule a consultation with Neil at theauthorityarchitect.com.